Hi everybody, so I'm back a little bit later this week than the previous weeks, but here we are for another episode of Inclusion Differently. Let's get started. Hi everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Inclusion Differently with me, Jackie Handy. And as you'll know, if you've been watching the other videos, we are basically covering off some of the quotes from this little book. It's the Little Book of Belonging. Now, if you've already got your copy, great. You can follow on each week with these particular quotes, and I'll be here providing just a few insights and hints and tips really about how you can potentially bring these reflections to life. If you haven't yet got a copy and you want one, then head over to my website because they're exclusively available there. It's simply jackiehandy.com/shop, and you'll be able to get your copy, and I will pop it across to you. But without further ado, because a brief one from me today, let's go into the quote or the question rather for this week. Here it is. So we've covered a little bit around the whole concept of understanding people. We've covered around values. We've talked about that deeper level of understanding from really one human being to another, rather than perhaps a cohort of society. And today we're moving on to take that stage further. And the quote or the question is, how can I ensure those around me feel safe to open up? Now, I've talked briefly about the concept of psychological safety before now, and it is that, and it is being able to create an environment where others feel safe to open up that is your responsibility, really. Because you can't simply say to someone, look, just open up, it's okay, because not everybody feels comfortable in doing that. So it's kind of your job really to think about ways you can create an environment in order to help people feel more comfortable. I wanted to show you this, which really just talks about a model around psychological safety. And if you want to look into this in more detail, the term was coined by Amy Edmondson. So take a look, Google her. In fact, I'll pop her details in the link with this. She's done a lot of work into this, but the important thing is that in life, and especially in organizations, cultures with a high level of psychological safety will find, as you can see here, that there is a more supportive work context. There is true commitment from everybody, and the relationships are strong, and that will lead to groups coming together, being more open, discussing innovation and creativity ideas without fear of judgment. And I've mentioned this in previous videos as well. This is so important, without the fear of judgment. So it's a fine balance of encouraging people to stretch perhaps a little outside of their comfort zone, but with the intention of being able to get creative, get innovative, and not feel like they're going to be laughed at or berated for their contribution, because that's what we all crave, right? Is we crave that voice, we crave the need to feel like we belong and we have value to our fellow human beings, to our groups, and to the organizations that we work within. And what you'll find is that, notice in this illustration, that when you get to that point of psychological safety, then the individuals as well are more proactive, they're more emotionally stable. And boy, you know, people need a level of emotional stability right now in the world, and they will be much more open to learning more and more. And surely that environment is going to help any business right now, any organization, and indeed any relationship cement, solidify, and open up. So when it comes to inclusion then, and maybe for people talking about their identity and their needs, the same kind of principles apply. This is about having this level of comfort, but also combined with this level of safety. That is so important. So there are things like rapport and how we use language to develop and deepen rapport, which I'll be talking about in videos as we move forward in this whole sequence of episodes of Inclusion Differently. But for now, I'm going to leave you with a couple of things. The first is this: you go first. So if you're encouraging somebody to open up, then maybe you need to open up a little bit too. And that might be about your ideas about how you can support them, but based upon your understanding that you've already developed an insight into from perhaps the previous week's episodes when you've looked at that. So you go first. Don't be frightened of vulnerability. Vulnerability is courage, and courage, you can't be courageous without vulnerability, right? To quote the great words of Brené Brown. So it may need you to open up. It may need you to get a bit vulnerable. It may be down to you to talk about the things that you're uncertain of. And once you've done that, you're much more likely to encourage another person to open up to you as well. And that is then so important. But be patient. I forgot to put it on that side. Be patient. So it's not necessarily just going to happen like that. Think about giving that person time and space. Think about perhaps coming back and revisiting a conversation when the individual's ready. Because remember, it's about comfort and safety. So to get the perfect balance of psychological safety, that comfort level needs to be stretched just that little bit, but not to the point of discomfort, because then an individual, that can really backfire, and the individual can feel like they're being put on the spot to open up, and maybe they're not yet comfortable enough to do that. So it's a gentle tease, which is why you going first can really help that situation. So I'm going to just leave those thoughts with you for today, all around psychological safety and really encouraging people to open up in your world in order that you can develop deeper levels of understanding. You can educate yourself much more around the individual to the left and to the right of you about what they need, in order that then you can start taking those small steps towards creating an environment where they feel as though they truly belong, they have value, and they are recognised for their contribution. And you'll know from my videos that I'm a massive believer in small steps. And I really believe, I've said this before, that if we all had taken just one small step forward, this world would already be a better place. So that's it for today. That was Inclusion Differently. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and showing me some thumbs up and some hearts and all that. Please do continue to tune in, and feel free to share these videos with anybody in your network that you think might benefit. And I'll see you next time on Inclusion Differently. Bye for now.